mouthing those words after getting fouled out. Right here, we all saw it. You can see this. Yeah, that is not call. That is not, she is not saying call, in my opinion, at all. That's effing white girl. All right? Yeah, keep in mind we traded Brittney Griner for the Merchant of Death, the Michael Jordan of arms dealers. Nonetheless,
this incident comes on the heels of several other high-profile controversies in women's basketball. Around the same period, tension flared between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark over a flagrant foul, and the WNBA launched an investigation into alleged racist behavior by Indiana Fever fans. That probe eventually concluded with no findings, reinforcing suspicions that the claims were unfounded. Meanwhile, broader questions are being raised about accountability in the league. Despite WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's public role, the NBA still financially supports the WNBA, which places indirect responsibility on NBA leadership. Observers have called on Adam Silver to take a more active stance, especially when such high-profile moments risk damaging the league's reputation.
To any other fan, any other player, any other group. The WNBA set this precedent. They stepped in the mud and they are stuck. They virtue signaled themselves into a corner. And new WNBA fans have every single right to rub their nose in it. I have no issue with it at all. It doesn't matter what Brittney Griner said.
Prominent sports analyst Skip Bayless has weighed in as well. Bayless, known for his long-standing career in sports journalism and for shaping the popular ESPN show First Take, has called out the WNBA directly. He questioned whether the league is willing to hold its athletes accountable when inflammatory or racially charged language is involved. His main point centers on whether a double standard exists, arguing that a white athlete using the term black girl in a similarly heated moment would likely face immediate and severe consequences, possibly even ending their career.
A lot of us has been keeping one eyeball in the direction of the WNBA. All of this happened about the same time as the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, the foul, the fallout around that, the WNBA investigation over Indiana Fever racist fans that we all knew was bogus, and there was no such. And guess what? The WNBA actually admitted we didn't find anything. We didn't find anything. So
Bayless challenged the WNBA's silence on this matter, asking whether the league considers such public behavior acceptable from its players. No official statement has been issued by the league, and Griner herself has yet to address the clip publicly, either through the press or her personal social media platforms. This silence raises questions about whether the incident is being ignored to avoid broader controversy or simply deemed not serious enough to merit a formal response. Critics argue that dismissing such a moment could alienate part of the fan base, especially those who perceive the comment as racially divisive or discriminatory. Others believe that all players, regardless of race or status, should be held to the same standard of conduct when representing a professional sports league.
Because the WNBA has already shown us it doesn't matter. Let's start with the sham investigation into Indiana Fever fans. We have Harry Ball 6969 making up lies. We have Jack Meehaw 5555 making up lies. And then there's some sound effects in the arena. Jack Meehoff and Harry Balls, those Twitter users, they weren't in the building. They're just making up lies on Twitter.
It appears the individual in question is standing firmly behind her previous remarks. It's likely that fellow athletes and others within the league reached out privately, possibly expressing admiration for saying what many have wanted to express but couldn't. A significant number of players may have aligned themselves in support, especially those who share close ties. There remains ongoing tension among many in the WNBA regarding Caitlin Clark's rapid ascent. A considerable portion of this resentment seems to stem from factors beyond performance, including the perception that her popularity is heavily rooted in her racial background and her resonance with conservative, predominantly white audiences in America.
There's a few of us souls that are actually looking in the direction of the WNBA. And look, I'm looking in the direction of the National Basketball Association too. Adam Silver, where's your balls at? Exactly, question mark. Because technically you run this show. I mean, Kathy Engelbert, okay, she's the mouthpiece, I guess. But the NBA is funding this whole thing still. So where
This matter has now attracted the attention of a highly influential figure who has directly challenged the league. Still, no formal reaction appears likely. The WNBA seems to be avoiding the issue altogether. If a white athlete had made a similar statement with reverse racial dynamics, the backlash would have been massive, dominating headlines for weeks, with widespread coverage and condemnation. The double standard being highlighted is unmistakable. Observers and critics are questioning whether this will simply be ignored. Requests for clarification or official statements have been directed toward both the league and Brittney Griner's camp. Thus far, responses have been non-existent. The silence has been deafening.
Then we have sound effects taking place in the Indiana Fever, a flight reacts sound effect, which sounds awfully similar to this sound effect in Atlanta. Uh-oh. 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 Wow. Are those monkey noises? Are those dolphin sounds? Are those animal noises? Are you calling Alicia Gray and investigate?
The WNBA seems unwilling to hold Griner accountable in any public way. Her status within certain political and social narratives protects her. She represents a perfect intersection of identities: black, female, and openly gay, all traits that resonate powerfully within progressive discourse. This combination of factors reportedly played a significant role in the White House's efforts to secure her release from Russian custody, offering a public relations advantage rather than a personal concern for her well-being. There's been no disciplinary action, no public comment from the WNBA leadership. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert appears hesitant, perhaps intimidated by the influence of top players. Even the modest claim that no policy was violated seems surprising, considering the circumstances. Taking concrete action, such as issuing a suspension or fine, would likely provoke unrest within the league. With relatively modest salaries, even a $20,000 fine could be contentious, possibly even triggering protest from players.
is he in all of this? Because if, and this is what Skip Bayless is calling out, and I will give Skip Bayless credit, certainly don't agree on a lot of things that Skip Bayless has got to say. I'm old enough to remember a couple of different things about Skip Bayless. Number one, he was one of the best sports journalists this country's ever seen at one time. I mean, in the 80s and the 90s, covering the 49ers and the...
Compared to past leadership like David Stern, who was known for his decisive approach, current leadership appears overly cautious. If the comments were directed at referees, the lack of support for officials would still reflect poorly on the league's governance. Overall, the situation exposes the WNBA's unwillingness to enforce standards equally. A highly recognizable figure calling out the organization makes this issue hard to ignore. Whether it leads to change or further silence remains to be seen. The WNBA's current season has been off to a disastrous start, drawing ridicule at nearly every turn. From the widely mocked Stop the Hate initiative, to a questionable probe into Indiana Fever fans, and now the chaos surrounding the Brittney Griner controversy. The league seems to be tripping over its own actions.
Investigate, WNBA. I feel offended by those noises that I'm hearing. I feel offended by those noises that I'm hearing. In fact, I feel so offended, I'm going to make up lies to force your hand into starting a sham investigation. So the WNBA, anytime now, I'll be waiting for the investigation. Anytime now, I'll be waiting for a solution to this issue running rampant in these WNBA arenas.
At this point, whatever Griner may or may not have said is secondary. The league already demonstrated a pattern. Decisions can be made without concrete evidence. That was clear when they kicked off a baseless inquiry into Indiana Fever supporters without any real justification. No proof? No problem. That's now the unofficial standard, and if that's the case, then future accusations, whether against fans, players, or anyone else, should require just as little verification. The WNBA created this mess. They're now stuck in it. By overreaching to appear virtuous, the league has boxed itself into a corner, and both longtime followers and newcomers are now throwing that hypocrisy right back in their face.
Cowboys, he was the GOAT. And then he, of course, hatched a little sports debate show, a little segment in an ESPN show called Cold Pizza back in the day. That segment with Woody Page was called First Take. And guess what? That segment became so popular, Cold Pizza actually got canceled, and First Take.
Cue the calls for another investigation. It didn't matter if the evidence was flimsy or non-existent because precedent had already been set. The league's own moves have now made it fair game to demand inquiries over practically anything. That's the consequence of running with fake claims to begin with. So when fans throw their own drama back at the WNBA, the league can't cry foul. The reaction? You deserve it, chants, echoing like those in a WWE arena.
WNBA, you guys set this precedent. So when fans want to rub your nose in it, not my fault, you deserve it, right? WWE crowds, you deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. Moving on. We got to stop the hate, folks. We got to stop the hate. And you know who gets hated on the most? No, not Brittney Griner, the referees. The referees get some of the most hate in the...
Shifting to another sore spot, the officiating. While public criticism has hit various players, the referees arguably take the hardest hits. Ironically, these officials are part of the WNBA's system, either on contract or employed, and thus should be protected under the Stop the Hate mantra, yet they're often shouted down, disrespected, and vilified. Even players like Brittney Griner and figures like Autumn Johnson have been seen berating referees during games.
Became a regular show, and then eventually Stephen A. joined the fray, and it changed sports media forever. Now Skip, he's got his own YouTube channel. Actually, some really good stuff on there. I'm not going to kid you. If you take the time to watch his show, it's good. And he can call out things like this. Well, Skip is asking, because Skip's like the rest of us.
Example, during a Dream game, one commentator pointed out PG's stats, 10 points, 5 rebounds, while tensions rose over foul calls, complaints about holding echoed throughout the court. So if hate really needs to stop, maybe it's time to start with the people who wear the stripes. This situation is being revisited once again. A pressing issue is unfolding. Brittney Griner was seen shouting at officials, interrupting her interview to confront them directly, raising her voice and unleashing a barrage of expletives. When compared to Angel Reese's actions, Griner's behavior was far more intense, yet only one was targeted with immediate scrutiny.
WNBA space. They are technically contractors or employees of the WNBA. They should fall within the guidelines of Stop the Hate. They deserve to be treated with respect, with dignity. They don't deserve to be screamed on by Brittney Griner.
By Autumn Johnson.
BG, right now you have 10 points, 5 rebounds. We see the Atlanta Dream as being very... Right now she's talking to the refs about holding.
There's been a push for investigations, a repeated demand to stop the hate. But what's truly happening here? 2 separate incidents involving different players have been treated with glaring inconsistency. Fans of the Atlanta Dream and their players voiced concerns, expressing disbelief. The league finds itself in a troubling position, its credibility questioned.
He believes Brittney Griner said effing white girl. And now he's asking the WNBA, are you going to really ignore this? And if it was the other way around, what would you be doing right now? This is a very high-profile name now putting some actual heat on the WNBA.
Attack was attack. But regardless of why Brittney...
No clear footage, no identifiable audio from the arena. Yet this instance, unlike others, provides something, however minimal, for people to debate. And in the context of how the WNBA operates, the specifics of what Griner said become irrelevant. One complaint, just one, is seemingly enough for action. This is the same league where investigations are treated like performance art. Even without evidence, even without context, if a comment offends a tiny fraction of the audience, that alone can lead to an official response. Meanwhile, incidents that warrant real concern receive none if they don't match the preferred narrative.
We're going to send it back to you guys.
Very important questions.
Be fucking better. Brittney Griner screaming on the referees. Brittney Griner stopping her interview to walk up on the referees get in their face and curse them out. That's much worse than what Angel Reese did. That's much worse than what Angel Reese did. Launch an investigation.
Such behavior is why campaigns promoting tolerance are often dismissed. The league's activist reputation precedes it, and credibility continues to erode. What's worse, the league appears more interested in symbolic gestures than real solutions. Over time, this signals to audiences that the structure lacks seriousness. Turning attention to the Indiana Fever crowd, a curious contradiction arises. Jonquel Jones made comments praising the fans, calling them passionate and well-rooted in culture. Yet this portrayal clashes with what's often said on social platforms, where users paint Indiana's fan base as toxic and discriminatory.
Brittney Griner said what she said, or at whom she said it. I want to know, is the WNBA okay with one of its players saying fucking white girl on the bench and getting caught by TV cameras saying such? I guess they are. I guess they're okay with it. Obviously, the league would very much not be okay with a white player saying fucking black girl on the bench in anger and getting caught by
Where's the truth? Social media circles label these fans as villains, but public statements from league players suggest otherwise. That kind of contrast raises eyebrows. Keyboard critics, many of whom offer baseless accusations from echo chambers, create an atmosphere that doesn't reflect on-the-ground reality. Today's newer WNBA audience seems encouraged to find offense in everything. The organization itself set this precedent. Anything that feels slightly off, anything that could be misinterpreted, becomes grounds for an inquiry. In most sports leagues, high emotion and tension are normal, but the WNBA is treated differently. It's as if it must be shielded, handled with excessive caution.
Investigation. Stop the hate. Stop the hate. Launch the investigation. These are two scenarios. The Atlanta Dream fans, the Atlanta Dream player. Oh, this is terrible. WNBA, stop the hate. Stop the hate. What a pathetic league we have. Then we have the controversy seen around the world. Let's take a look.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
Cases like the Liberty's finals appearance only reinforce skepticism. The commissioner showed up wearing a dress featuring the New York skyline while the Liberty played in the championship, raising valid concerns about favoritism. Minnesota's team suffered questionable calls throughout. The optics are not subtle. Claims of bias don't need verbal confirmation. They're reflected in decisions, actions, and public displays. These inconsistencies create the perception of manipulation, rules being bent for preferred teams or outcomes. The WNBA's older fan base, those who supported it before its recent surge in attention, contributed to this environment. By embracing selective activism and dismissing competitive integrity, they help shape the current state of the league. Now, with a flood of new viewers expecting standard sportsmanship and consistency, there's widespread confusion. What's unfolding now is the natural consequence of those earlier decisions. When a professional league is built more on slogans than substance, every misstep feels amplified, and many watching from the outside are left wondering whether the WNBA still prioritizes basketball at all.